Welcome back, everyone. This week is ramping up to be an exciting one. We are moving into the Mag 7 stock earnings tomorrow. Let's get right into markets and welcome to this video. Here we go. The S&P E-minis have made a move that has tried to come up and push into the uppermost quadrant of this long-term uptrend channel. Let's zoom into the hard right edge and get a sense of where we're at. We're pushing back up into a set of nested volume point of controls from these nested volume profile histograms that span between the 75.51 to 75.60-ish area, something that we expected in the front end of the week, something that we are expecting to be pushed through as we move through earnings, but it does depend on the Nasdaq taking us up there. The Nasdaq in today's trade is up almost 2 percentage points, back to semiconductor buying, as we can see, after the oversold conditions into the end of last week. Yesterday, we tried to get off the mat, but geopolitics weighed us down. Today, not as much, and we are seeing the Nasdaq try to push up towards the next major resistive structure, which is in the 29,650 to 850-ish area. This ceiling is an area where if we see the Nasdaq respond well to earnings and or we see folks push things up into the release of earnings from Google and Tesla tomorrow after the bell, well, that push up into this area is likely going to float the boat for the S&P E-minis, carry us through that 75.55 area and push us up towards the all-time highs. Now, are we likely going to sustain up there? Well, we get more Mag 7 stock earnings next week. The market has a higher probability to be waiting for the majority of the Mag 7 stock earnings to come out before it elects whether or not to reallocate to semis, and for this entire pattern from the beginning of May to be a consolidate to continue pattern or to be a topping process. We've had a rip up since the back end of March. We went up all throughout April, all throughout May effectively, and then started to establish this sideways range where the Nasdaq came down and damaged the low that happened back on June the 9th, 10th, and 11th last Friday, closed at one of the lowest points that it has in a recent history, of course, and now is in a spot where it's trying to bounce back up and come back up towards a major water level. The water line effectively is still that infamous number you've heard me talk about in videos just like these, 29,820. I'd like to see it above 850 for good measure. Above there, the door is open for a rise to continue, but just getting up into that area, again, is likely going to be a boon for the ES, taking it above its waterline in the 75.55 area and pushing it up towards all-time highs. Now, today, we have had opportunities on the long side of the trade more so than the short side of the trade. Let's go take a look at what the technical setup on the S&P and Nasdaq suggests, and I'll show you some of the results of my trading on the day. The daily chart shows us a tentative buy signal on the S&P E-minis. The 4-hour chart's doing something incrementally bullish by breaking into the uppermost quadrant, but it's still in an expensive area to have a bullish crossover. And the 1-hour chart is in a buy signal state. It was in a buy signal state as of the 10 a.m. Eastern Time hourly bar. 5-minute chart's in a buy signal state. 1-minute chart's trying to graduate into that right now. Now, the door is open for a re-rise up to the 75.55 to 75.60 area in today's market. And I'm recording this video at around 1:50 p.m. Eastern Time, well before the market closed. So there is enough ample time for the market to try and come up and bust through that zone. But are there catalysts in place that can really keep the highs going and keep us going higher for a lot longer? Think about it. If we're going to be in a day that's a 3-4% up on the Nasdaq day, kind of like we saw back over here on the NQ on June the 11th, where the day over day change was about 3.2%, but the lows to highs were about 4%. Now, if we're going to be in a day like that, we really need something to catalyze that. Can it just be a grind up from the oversold condition and a repatriation of the rotation out of the Mag 7 stocks and semis? It could be. It's more likely that we're going to get stagnated in and around the DeMark Resistance 1 weekly pivot level at 29,420-ish, 418-ish, and then start to come down from there. However, the earnings positioning into the end of the day tomorrow is more likely going to help us push up into the resistive structure of that ceiling, that 29,650 to 850-ish area. And that is likely going to carry the S&P E-minis through the threshold and up towards the all-time highs. Now, again, the technical signals support support a rise over the next 3 to 6 hours, but we are likely going to stagnate. I did a lot of trading on the long side in today's trade. I'm going to show you the results of that, up over $1,100 at this stage. Still trading for the back end of the day. I traded the Nasdaq E-minis and the S&P E-minis throughout the day in a variety of accounts, single account trades, not trade copier. And you can see I'm up about $1,174.30 on the day, adding to my overall tally and continuing to build those accounts. I look forward to continuing to do so and sharing the insights with you right here in videos just like these. Now, I hope that you've enjoyed today's video, and I look very much forward to sharing more insight with you in videos to come. Wish you a wonderful rest of your trading day today. Tomorrow is the day, positioning into the end of the day, of course, for the Mag 7 stocks. And of course, as we move through Thursday's Intel earnings, let's see how this market pans out. I hope you enjoyed the video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Have an incredible rest of your day, and thank you for watching.